Hello, John.
Hello, Oliver.
So the US government has officially shut down, and we want to look at what does that mean for Ireland. So it affects economics, business, it affects the financial markets, it affects the exports, it affects quite a lot of things for Ireland if it goes on for a long period of time. Short term, it's okay. Well, it's not okay, but it's not as damaging. But if this continues, it's not good for Ireland.
No. Well, it's a bad thing for such a thing to happen in one of the wealthiest countries in the world, the United States. And President Donald John Trump called a meeting between the two Republicans, the Senator Chune, the majority leader in the Senate, and the majority leader in the Congress, like that's the other part, and then Chuck Schumer and fella called Jeffries, Sanjay Jeffries or something. But they the what the bill that the Republicans and the government were promoting was a fairly good, good deal. But the Democrats, including Senator Chuck Schumer and this other fella, I think it was named, but Jeffries, and they still wanted this extra trillion for some kind of events that wasn't that necessary. They really have an agenda, it seems to most people, that they want to sort of make it very difficult for President Trump as often as they possibly can. And this is an example of it. But the thing still continues in the United States. Only some sections are not, but the society functions. It's not what they call a shutdown of the whole lot. It's a shutdown partial of certain services that otherwise would be operating. Um, and it's something, quite frankly, during the past 4 years of the Democratic President Biden. Um, During that period, it seemed every couple of months there was this business of shutdowns and the rest of it. And I thought to myself, what way did they run the country that to have all these votes in the Congress and in the Senate about this? And it's a very crazy way to run on them, to my way of thinking. Government should be able to operate without this permanent every 3 months and having to have another vote about giving enough money to run it. That's one thing I don't understand. Do you understand that?
Don't, but I'm telling you, the thing about it is, for America to have political gridlock at this level is actually quite embarrassing for the country. But the effects it would have worldwide on the markets, on GDP, we're dependent heavily on multinationals, and it'll affect exports as well, long term. But there must be some way to prevent these things from happening. I think the last time it happened was about 7 years ago. And
Yeah, probably during the last time President Trump was in the White House. They seem to try to do that thing that the Democrats don't seem, to me, to be for the good of the country. They seem to be trying to stymie everything all the time. That's when President Trump has introduced policies that are beneficial to the country. He's producing fuel and all the rest of it. There was that the previous government was yapping about climate, and they're producing fuel now. So fuel is much cheaper for people that are use fuel for central heating or air conditioning, and they might also use it for petrol pumps and that. So the prices have gone down. So there's a lot of plus factors. But the other crowd, the Democrats, they're not in the majority in either house. But the fact of the matter that they're doing this doesn't, they're not, the good of the country doesn't seem foremost in their mind. It's trying to score political points at the detriment of what's after happening. I think any responsible person, Chuck Schumer, sounds like a Germanic type of name, Schumer, and Chuck. And there's no Saint Chucks that I know of. And then the other fella, Jeffries, has another odd name, a Christian name. So one wonders what agenda those type of people have. And it doesn't seem to me, in many ways, for the good of the United States, which is the land of the free and which is a beacon of hope to many other countries. But the like of this happening, it doesn't create confidence, as you rightly say. But for the life of me, I can't see the financial markets are still going. I can't see how exports should be affected that much. I mean, this crowd that we have here, obviously the negative, they never see the positive. And they have a lot of stuff going to the United States with all the multinationals we have here, and I'm sure they'll find some way of dealing with it. I
I
have to
suppose,
take
look,
with a grain of
if you look at trade and exports, okay, exports, um, so the customs, if the customs was to shut down, if they were to partially close down, that would affect trade and exports, you know? So
I don't think I didn't hear anything about that being affected. There's some other avenues that's to do with the internal, but I think trade will still continue as heretofore. I haven't seen any evidence of that, and so I take with a grain of salt what our spokespeople say on that issue. As far as I know, exports can still go ahead. That's not going to be affected. It's only certain internal businesses with regard to in the United States. It doesn't affect trade in the ordinary course of events because that'd be diabolical if that happened.
would certainly would, yes, absolutely. But I think like
Yeah, yeah.
it depends, I suppose, how severe the shutdown is and how far it spreads and how long it goes on, you know.
Well, from what because I've followed it, and it's not severe from the point of view of trade in general. It affects some sections of the American people, but it doesn't affect the overall economy
Okay.
in that sense. But it's like a black mark, and others make a big song and dance about it. But I think you want to be pragmatic about it. It's a political game there now, as far as I see, with the Democrats, what they're at, and that's the way to look at it. But it certainly wouldn't interfere with trade. You can guarantee you that.
Well, that's very,
It just
very reassuring, John, because you are a former businessman and you do know about these things.
Well, I do. That's the first thing I kind of inquire about, because that'd be a disaster for the people, the whole population of that country. But it only affects certain sections of the population. It has the ring by way of a shutdown. They're making what I call a mountain out of a molehill. It only affects a certain amount. It doesn't affect the overall trade because if it did, the country would collapse. I
This
mean,
is
that's
this.
the last thing any country would want, that kind of thing. So it's not affected. Trade is not, and but it would be better if the people in America that might be affected in certain sections, because the other parts are still functioning. It's only some parts, and they shouldn't call it shut down because if the whole country is and it'd be in
It's
darkness or
it's very
something.
yeah, it's very, very dramatic.
It is, but it's not. Can you? Electricity will be still going and all the rest of it. So there'll be none of this shut down that indicates in some other countries like what we had a general strike here in 1913. That closed everything down. And I remember when there was power cuts in my time, and you'd have a bit of electric light, and then in the winter especially, and the winters that it happened was some of the coldest on record. And I remember with a little electric fire in a bed cellar, and it wouldn't warm. You'd have to be on top of it, and maybe
John Malone, it done you the world of good. It made you handsome.
I mean, I know all about strikes and about shutdowns, but they didn't call it that here. Just things didn't work.
Right.
And it was a bank strike, and for 6 months. Now, if you wanted to start to interfere with business, that's the one that would, and some companies went to the wall when it was over,
Yes.
including one very big company at the time, Palgrave Murphy, a big shipping company.
Hmm.
How why it went to the wall, but of course, with a bank strike, it's diabolical. But they don't have that in America.
Yeah.
It's only partial, so don't. Nobody should get excited about it. I say categorically that trade will go on and all the rest of it.
So, John Malone, we won't starve, and there will be food on our table next week, is what you're telling us. We'll be okay.
Correct, and yeah, and that they don't have the sort of streaks that we used to have here. And it was
Yes.
Bertie Ahern, the former Fianna Fáil minister, when his municipal labour solved all that problem.
Okay.
Thank God, because after that we didn't have these things.
Very good, John Malone. We're going to move on to our next video, which is about faith healers, and we will talk in a few minutes.
Exactly. Well, faith healers sounds a good thing.
It's a good subject.
Faith healers, because if you're suffering from something, yeah, there's nothing nicer than a faith healer coming to the rescue.
Well, there's nothing better in life than hope.
Correct and right, and then you hope to be cured wherever you're suffering from.
There you go.
Yeah, boy now.
Bye now.